Okay guys, welcome back to the channel and to this. This is awesome. The Ogor Mawtribes Battletome courtesy of Games Workshop. So massive shout out and thank you to them for sending this over to review it. If you haven't already, go and check out the battle report featuring this new Battletome. But without further ado guys, let's jump straight in. Now, the first thing I'm going to say is Beastclaw and Gutbusters can work together. Yes. The tome is built so that you can still very much play individually as one army or the other. There is a number of points and unit size changes. Everything that you want to still be in this book, unit wise, is still in. There has been a lot of War Scroll changes. Most of it is just tightening up of the rules. Some of it is changes. So I'm going to go straight in with the unit costs and the unit sizes. So Iron Blaster is artillery for 120. That War Scroll changed. Nobbler Scrap Launcher is 120. Ogre Glutens, or Bulls as you would know them, which are battle line, 120 for 3 or 400 for 12. Stonehorn Beast Riders is 300. Thundertusk Beast Riders is 300. They're battle line if your general is a Beastclaw Raider. The Butcher is 140. The Firebelly is 120. The Icebrow Hunter is 120. The Slaughtermaster, which is the butcher with a cauldron, is 140. A Tyrant is 160. Frostlord on Stonehorn is 400. Frostlord on Thundertusk is 390. Huskard on Stonehorn is 320, and Huskard on Thundertusk is 340. Frost Sabers are 40 for 2. Gorges are 80 points each. Nobblers are 100 for 20 or 270 for 60. Icefall Yetis are 110 for 3. Iron Guts are now in a unit of 4 and a 220. I forgot to mention Frost Sabers are battle line if your general is the Hunter. Yetis are battle line if your general is on a Thundertusk. So the Iron Guts, 220 for 4. Yes, it's a point increase, but it's also a unit size increase. Instead of being 60 points each, they're 55 points each now. Lead Belchers are in a unit of 2 for 80 points. I think they were 140 for 3 previously, so technically that's a small reduction. Man-Eaters come in units of 3 for 180, and Mournfang packs are 140 for 2. Iron Guts and Lead Belchers battle line if your general is a Gutbuster, and Mournfang pack are battle line if your general is Beastclaw. So that's the unit sizes and points. There is a few battalions, 80 for Gutbuster Warlord, Tyrant's Gutguard is 120, Gormand is 140, Butcher's Band is 140, Junk Mob is 100, the Ulfriston is 80, the Yolbad is 120, the Earlbad is 140, Torbad is 120, the Skarl is 100, and of course the Great Morpot is free. Allies, Ailguzzler, Gargants and Troggoths, so you can actually ally in Troggoths. However, there's lots and lots of stuff to go over. If you want to see the War Scrolls, which I know have already been put up on the GW website, I'll go over those shortly. But we're going to start with the Allegiance abilities. Trampling Charge, okay? So when you make a charge move, you select one enemy unit within an inch of your unit that's charged. You roll a number of dice equal to the charge distance, and on a 6+ you do a mortal wound. Now, the first time I did this in the battle report, I did do it wrong, but I corrected it. If you have 8 models in your unit, you add 2 to that roll. So on a 4+, you do a mortal wound. Or if you're a monster, you do it on a 4+. That is fantastic if you can get off a couple of large charge rolls, and especially, you know, on a big unit of Bulls or Iron Guts, you can seriously wreak havoc. I think I did 7 to Lucy's Zombie Dragon on the charge with me Bulls, which was fantastic. Grasp of the Everwinter. It's a nice little touch and nod towards the Everwinter table from the Beastclaw Raider book. But basically, you roll a dice for a unit within 3 inches of a Beastclaw Raider unit. If the roll is equal to or less than the current battle round, then the unit suffers D3 mortal wounds. That's pretty cool. The big changer though, because as a Beastclaw Raider player previously, my issue was always I couldn't capture objectives, I had to kill stuff. Might makes right. Each Ogre model counts as 2 models, and each monster counts as 10. That actually came into play in the battle report and is so good. So we've got 6 ogres on an objective. They count as 12 models, which in a game that's flooded with, for example, Lucy runs a lot of ghouls, dryads for Sylvaneth, and demonettes for Slaanesh, and obviously plague monks. There you go. It comes in pretty handy. Ravenous brutes. If you're more than 3 inches away from an enemy, you're considered hungry. You can move an additional 2 inches. That basically means that all of your ogres have an 8-inch move. If you give your tyrant the big name for extra movement, he's moving even further. Monsters moving even further, and Mournfang moving even further is really good. However, if you're within 3 of an enemy, then you're considered to be eating, which means you get +2 bravery. Brilliant, because then people aren't going to run away. Which I actually forgot in the battle report, and I spent a command point to keep them alive instead. Everwinter Prayers, basically, Beastclaw Raider Priests get access to the Everwinter Prayers, and then there are 6 more tribes to choose from in relation to extra rules and buffs that you can take. So the next thing I want to look at is actually the Maw Pot before we go over all the relics and command traits, because look, there's a lot of stuff, guys. So here we go. The Maw Pot has to be set up more than an inch away from other terrain and more than 6 from any objectives. So the Great Maw Pot, I like this, right? Add 1 to casting and unbinding rolls for ogre wizards whilst they're within an inch of the Great Maw Pot. Brilliant. Battle Broth. A Great Maw Pot is said to either be full or empty. At the start of the battle it is full. In your hero phase, 1 friendly ogre hero whilst within 6 inches of a full Great Maw Pot can spend its magic. If you do so, heal D3 wounds allocated to each friendly ogre unit wholly within 36 of the Great Maw Pot and roll separately for each unit. Once it's empty, the magic has been spent. However, you've got throw 'em in, which means if an enemy model is killed within 6 inches of the Great Maw Pot, then it's considered to be full again. Model. 1 ghoul, 1 dryad. You know what I mean? That's fantastic for a scenery piece. In comparison to the Charnel Throne for the Flesh Eaters, I think that's really good. So we'll jump back over now and have a look at some of the command traits and relics and stuff. Now I'm not going to go over all this. There is absolutely tons. You've got 6 for a Tyrant, Butcher, Frostlord or Huskard, and Icebrow Hunter. A couple that stand out to me. Prodigious Girth, add 2 to the General's wound characteristic. An Eye for Loot, which is reroll hit and wound rolls when you target a hero with an artifact of power. He can heal D3 wounds. And you can take 2 big names. They're pretty good. Butcher's traits, subtract 1 from attack rolls whilst they're within 6 of the General. The problem is you don't want your Butcher to be a General because he's too good at other stuff. Gastromancer, he knows all of the spells from the lore. Add 2 to his wounds. Spell Eater, each time he dispels an endless spell, he can heal wounds basically. And if you eat it, you can cast an additional spell. It's decent, but it's endless spell reliant. For the Frostlord and Huskards, once per battle you can use the command ability on your war scroll without spending a command point. So that's Bellow and Shout. Reroll wound rolls for attacks made with this melee weapons, including their mount, whilst you're wholly within enemy territory. It's a little bit specific for me, but I do like it. Touched by the Everwinter, he knows an additional prayer. Skilled Rider, half the number of wounds suffered by this general when determining which row on its damage table. So basically, you know, if you've taken 8 wounds, you only count as having taken 4 when you look at the damage table. That's, you know, it's decent for a Stonehorn. Icebrow Hunter, well, I'm not going to go over them because no one uses hunters, unfortunately. You can get +1 attack on Yetis, that's pretty cool. You can pick D3 enemy units for the Icy Breath. It's okay. You can give him +1 to hit and wound for his missile weapons, which again is okay. If you go down that route, it's not bad. Artifacts of Power. The Headmasher, the Thunder Mace, has a damage of 4 instead of 3. That's pretty decent. You can add 4 to his move if he's hungry instead of 2. This one though, gruesome trophy racks. Add 1 to hit rolls for attacks made by friendly gutbuster units wholly within 12 of the bearer that target a monster or hero. That's actually not bad. Yeah, I like that one. You can have 6 attacks with your pistol, or you can give the glaive -3 rend instead of 1. They're okay. The butcher, the wizard flesh apron. The bearer can cast 1 additional spell in each hero phase. I like that one. You can ignore damage on a 5+, or you can add 2 to the roll when the bearer tries to unbind or dispel an endless spell. So that's okay. For the relics of the Everwinter, Pelt of Changar is now on hunters only, not Thunder Tusks or Frost Lords, unfortunately. Elixir of the Frostworm is once per battle. It's very similar to what it was before. However, you guarantee doing D6 mortal wounds, but you take D3. It's okay. None of these for the Frostlord and Huskguards really stand out to me, unfortunately. Yeah, but you can give the Yetis an extra 2-inch move during the movement phase, whilst they're wholly within 12. If you're running Beastclaw Raider heavy, they're probably better. Yeah. Trophies of the Skull. Like I said, you've got the Pelt of Changar. Katanak Browplate, add 1 to the save rolls. In addition, at the start of your hero phase, first hero phase, you get 1 additional command point. It's okay. And his crossbow on a hit roll of a 6 does D3 mortal wounds in addition. They're okay. Spell laws though, I like some of these. So some of my favourite, for example, Blood Feast. Pick an ogre unit that is not a monster and wholly within 18 of the caster and visible to them. Add 1 to the attack characteristics of the unit's melee weapons until the start of your next hero phase. Which I forgot to do with the bites, but there we go. That's massive for a big block of Iron Guts or Glutens. Rib Cracker, -1 save on an enemy unit within 18, not wholly within. So that's pretty good if you've got stuff with a 3 or a 4 armor. Another one that's good for me is Greasy Deluge. Target an enemy unit within 18, and -1 to their hit rolls, which was massive for keeping my ogres alive against Lucy's zombie dragon, despite her rolling horrendously well. And then you've got Molten Entrails. If successfully cast, pick a monster wholly within 18. Until the start of your next hero phase, add 1 to the damage characteristics of melee weapons used by the monster's mount. So that, in conjunction with some of the command traits, is okay. Lore of the Sun Eater. Fiery Whirlwind has a cast on value of 6. If successfully cast, pick 1 enemy unit. Roll 1 dice for each model in the unit that is within 12 of the caster and visible to them. And on a 4+, the unit suffers a mortal wound. If that unit has only 1 model, roll 3 dice. So it's okay. It's okay. Range 12 is very risky though. Billow and Ash, cast a value of 8. Subtract 1 from hit rolls for attacks that target friendly units wholly within 12 of the caster. Again, very, very short range, but pretty good. If you combine that with Greasy Deluge, that's actually not bad. Tongues of Flame has a casting value of 6. If successfully cast, pick 1 enemy unit that has 5 or more models within 18, not wholly within 18, invisible to them until the start of your next hero phase. Each time that unit finishes any type of move, it suffers D3 mortal wounds. So that's a move, that's a charge, and that's a pile-in. That's not bad. Everwinter Prayers, Pulverizing Hailstorm. Pick a point within 18, roll a dice. On a 4+, the prayer goes off. Roll 1 dice for each unit within 3 inches of that point, and on a 3+, they suffer D3 mortal wounds. I want to like it, but it's too unreliable. You've got to get a 4+, then a 3+ for each unit. Which, why not just pick the point and go 4+, every unit suffers D3 mortal wounds. Keening Gale. Pick a friendly monster or Mournfang pack, unit wholly within 18 of the model chanting this prayer. Until the start of your next hero phase, add 3 to that unit's move. So if you're running Beastclaw heavy, that's good. So you're adding 3 to the Mournfang or the monster's move, but then you're adding 2 if you're hungry as well, because they've got the Ogre keyword. That's decent if you're running Beast Claw heavy. And then you've got Call of the Blizzard on a 4+, pick a friendly Icefall Yetis unit within 18, and visible to them, you can return 1 slain model to the unit. It's okay. Mount traits. None of them really stand out as amazing to me. A couple are decent. So the Stonehorn, add 1 to hit rolls for attacks made with the rock hard horns. There's 1 to target war machines, which not many people are using. When determining the number of dice for trample and charge battle trait, always treat a roll as less than 7 as 7. So that's not bad, considering that obviously they do mortal wounds on a 4+ with it being a monster. +1 wound, improve the rend of his crushing hooves by 1. And add 1 to charge rolls for friendly Stonehorns and Mournfang packs whilst they're wholly within 12. That's okay. For Thunder Tusks, automatically heal a wound every turn. Worsen the rend characteristic of a melee weapon by 1. +1 wound, +1 charge roll for friendly Thunder Tusks that are wholly within 12. Yeah, none of them really go, yes, not like the Terrorgeist reroll the Gaping Maw. But if you build your list around Beast Claw Raiders, I think you can do a lot of good work in comparison to what you could previously. So next up we've got 6 different Mawtribes. Let's have a look through those. So here we go, the 6 tribes, and each one of these focuses on something different. So there's a shooty one, there's a magic one, and there's a Ogre Bull featured one. There's 3 centered around different builds of Beast Claw Raider builds as well. So the Maw-Fist Mawtribe, you can roll 1 additional dice when a Meat Fist unit uses this trample and charge ability. It's alright. You can use this command ability at the start of the combat phase. If you do so, pick a Meat Feast hero until the end of that phase. Add 1 to the attack characteristics for Meat Feast Ogre Gluten's units, Gulping Bite, whilst they're wholly within 18. You cannot pick the same unit to benefit from it more than once. Cool. Start your hero phase. If the general is eaten, you gain 1 additional command point. Reroll saves of a 1 for attacks that target the bearer. Cool. This is the one that I use, the Blood Gullet Mawtribe. So each butcher can cast an extra spell, and he knows an extra spell. That is pretty good. Bloodbath, use this command ability at the start of the combat phase. If you do so, pick up Blood Gullet Butcher. Until the end of that phase, you can reroll wound rolls for attacks made with melee weapons by friendly Blood Gullet Ogre Glutens whilst they're wholly within 12. That's quite hard to do because obviously your big block of ogres is going to be away from your butcher. However, the command trait, friendly units that start a pile move wholly within 12 of the general can move an extra 3 inches. That is massive to get the rest of your ogres in because they're on 40mm bases. And the artifact of power, the Blood Gullet Splatter Cleaver. Basically, if you do a wound with one of the bearer's melee weapons, and it's not negated, you heal D3 wounds on every unit wholly within 12 inches of the bearer. That's really, really good. I'm probably going to run this most of the time, and it's what I used in the battle report. Underguts Mawtribe. Lead Belchers have a range of 18 instead of 12. That's pretty good if you like Lead Belchers. This command ability, pick an Underguts hero until the end of the phase. Add 1 to the attack characteristics of missile weapons used by Underguts Iron Blaster units wholly within 12. So you get 2 cannonball shots or 7 of the smaller shots, which we'll see shortly. Subtract 1 from wound rolls for attacks made with missile weapons that target the general. It's okay. And the Nobbler Blast Keg. Once per battle at the start of your shooting phase, you can use a Nobbler Blast Keg. If you do so, pick 1 enemy unit within 9 of the bearer, invisible, and roll 6 dice. Add 1 to each roll for every 10 models in the target unit, and for each 6+, the enemy unit suffers D3 mortal wounds. That's not bad. It's not bad, but it's only 6 dice. If you like Lead Belchers and cannons, go that one. You got the Boulder Head Mawtribe next. Add 1 to the wounds characteristic friendly Boulder Herd monsters. In addition, Boulder Herd hero on Stonehorn or Thunder Tusks, instead of only taking 1 mount trait, all of them can take them, which is good. Add 1 to Prayer for the Pulverizing Hailstorm, which is good because it then goes off on a 3. Use this command ability at the start of your hero phase, and if you do so, pick a Boulder Herd hero. that has a mount. Until the end of their phase, use the top row of the damage table, regardless of how many wounds it suffered. That's good. Command trait, Lord of the Beasts. Friendly monsters that are wholly within 12 of the general can make an extra 1-inch move when they make a move. That's okay. Now the factor power. If the bearer has a mount, add 1 to hit rolls for attacks made with that mount's melee weapons, which you can also take another +1 for one of the mounts as well. You can build Stonehorns to be pretty brutal, even though their rules have changed quite a bit. Thunderbelly's Mawtribe is centered around Mournfang packs. So if your Mournfang pack is wholly within 12 of a table edge, you can run and charge, which is good. Add 1 to praise for the Keening Gale, and the command ability. Pick an enemy unit with 1 or more wounds allocated to it that is within 6 of a hero. Until the end of the phase, you can reroll wound rolls for attacks made by friendly Thunderbelly Mournfang packs that target that unit. So you have to have already taken a wound on the unit, but then you can get that little buff off. That's nice. Command trait, add 1 to charge rolls for Thunderbelly's units whilst they're wholly within 18 of the general. That's good, considering you can take mount traits to make them move faster. You got the extra 2-inch movement, you stay within 12 of the board edge, and you can move up, run, and then charge as well. So you can still actually, if you're 12 inches from a table edge, you can still get a good way into the centre. And the artifact of power, treat terrain features within 12 of the bearer as having the deadly scenery rule in addition to any other scenery. So that's okay. And then we've got the Winterbite Mawtribe. Subtract 1 from hit rolls made with missile weapons that target Winterbite units that are wholly within your territory. It's okay. Add 1 to the prayer for the Winterbite Priest for the Call of the Blizzard, which is to get Yetis back. The command ability, Howl of the Wild. Friendly Winterbite Frost Saber units with it and Yetis wholly within 12 of a Winterbite hero can fight at the start of the combat phase. These units cannot fight again later in the combat phase. That is good. That's very good. If you're running cats and Yetis, of course. The command trait, add 1 to wound rolls for attacks made with melee weapons by friendly sabers and Yetis whilst they're wholly within 12 of the general. Again, be careful with your 6-inch pile-in from the Yetis. And that effect of power, Frostfang. Pick 1 of the bearer's melee weapons, and at the start of each battle round, roll a dice on a 5+, add 1 to the damage inflicted by weapons with that weapon for the rest of the battle. This effect is cumulative. That's massive. That's pretty big. So, let's move on to the War Scrolls. So the Tyrant, of course, is the brand new model. It is just 1 model for a Tyrant now. You don't get to pick any of the 3 weapons. He does, however, have a pistol, a thunder mace, and a beast skewer glaive, and of course his normal bite. So it's not bad. I kind of like it. So the pistol, 2 attacks, 4s, 3s, -1 D3. It's the same as a Mournfang pistol, but 2 shots. The thunder mace, however, 3 attacks, 3s, 3s, -2 and 3 damage. If you roll a 6 to hit for the thunder mace, the target suffers 1 mortal wound. However, if the target unit is 3 or more models, it suffers D3 instead. So that's pretty decent. The beast skewer glaive is range 3, 2 attacks, 3s, 3s, -1 and D3 damage. However, if you roll a 6 to hit against a monster or a hero, the damage becomes D6 instead of D3. The big names have changed slightly, I think, so you can have 1 extra wound, add 1 to wound rolls for attacks made by this model if you charge in the same turn. He has a save of 3+, he has a move characteristic of 8, which makes it 10 if he's hungry. Add 1 to the damage inflicted by the model's weapons when they are used for an attack that targets a monster. It's okay. And re-roll 1 wound roll for 1 attack made with 1 melee weapon each time the model attacks. In addition, you can re-roll wound rolls for attacks made with a melee weapons by this model if the target unit is part of a garrison. It's okay. Bully in the 1st degree. Pick a friendly Gutbuster unit within 3. they take D3 mortal wounds, but they don't take battle shock as long as he's on the table. So, you know, they've kind of wrapped it into one. I don't think he's quite as good. The Great Gut Gouger was absolutely fantastic, and I know a lot of people used to run a couple of them. The Slaughter Master is basically what was the Butcher with the Cauldron. However, his spell is a little bit different now. He doesn't have the Maw on this model. So Rock Chomper has a casting value of 5, and basically the Gulp and Bite, if you roll an unmodified wound roll of a 6, does 1 mortal wound in addition. The Cauldron stayed exactly the same, but he's also got Blood Gruel. Roll a dice each time this model successfully casts or unbinds a spell. After the effects of the spell have been resolved, on a 2+, you can heal 1 wound. On a 1, you suffer 1 mortal wound. Great! The Butcher, he has to take the Tenderizer or Cleaver instead of the Bladed Stumps, which the other guy has now, but he still has the Ferocious Maw, which is exactly the same as what it used to be. It hasn't changed. Ogre Glutens lost in attack, but they gained the Gulping Bite, but I forgot to mention this as well, the Butchers and everything else pretty much hits on 3s. That's massive, massive stuff for the Ogres. So, Crusher gets an extra attack. The Bellower, subtract 1 from the Bravery. You can reroll charge rolls with them if you've got the Beast Skull Bearer. The Tribal Banner adds 1 to the Bravery. And a Lookout Nobbler if you've got the Tribal Banner. Paired Clubs now does 2 hits on a 6 instead of re-rolling. And the Iron Fist is now an unmodified 6. You lost the Bull Charge ability to re-roll, I think it was hits or wounds when you charge. However, bear in mind you're doing the mortal wounds on the charge on a 6 or a 4 if you've got a squad of 8. To be honest, I like them. I'm not too sad with the changes. The fact that you're hitting on 3s, it is brilliant. So the Iron Guts, again, lost in attack but gained the Gulping Bite, but they now hit on 3s. As far as I can see, other than the unit size, nothing else changed here, which is pretty decent. Gorges I've never looked at before, because I've never had any of the models, but 4 attacks, 3s and 3s, no rend, 2 damage. Ambush and Hunters, though, you can set them up 9 inches away. I believe that used to be 12, and you can reroll charges, so pretty decent. Lead Belchers, again, didn't really change, apart from they've only got 2 attacks now instead of 3, but again, they hit on 3s in combat, so again, pretty decent, and if you stay still, you get D6 shots instead. The Iron Blaster did change, however. So, you've got the Cannonball, which is no longer a minimum 6-inch range. It is just 24. 4s, 2s, -2 and D6. You've lost the reroll ability, which is kind of sad. However, you've also got the Iron Blaster Cannon Hail Shot. 12-inch range, 6 shots, 3s, -1, 1 damage. It's okay, it's okay, but you can get 2 Lead Belchers for 80 points, which 2d3 attacks, yeah. I think if you take 2 of them or 8 Lead Belchers or 6 Lead Belchers, you're going to get more work out of the Lead Belchers, I think, because even in combat I think they do more. You add 1 to the damage from the Rhinox's Sharp Horns when you charge, so it's D3 +1. If I'm honest, instead of 2 of these, I would take 6 Lead Belchers. The Iron Blasters just haven't come down enough in points. There should have been 100, then it may have been considerable. The Nobbler's Scrap Launcher, however, does have a minimum range, and I believe the Nobbler's Trapper ability has changed slightly. So roll 1 dice for each enemy unit that is within 3 of a model from this unit. After the enemy unit finishes a charge move, on a 6, the enemy unit suffers D3 mortal wounds. Okay, I've never had Nobblers, so that's why I've never used them, but let's have a look at the Stone Horns. Okay, so from what I can see, the Frost Spear and Punches and Kicks have remained the same. Rock Hard Horns, however, is a flat 3 damage. I think that used to be D6. And Crushing Hooves is D6 attacks, and it does D3 damage. Earth Shattering Charge changed. So instead of D6 mortal wounds on the charge, you add 1 to the damage inflicted made with the Rock Hard Horns and Crushing Hooves. So that's 4 damage on the horns when you charge, and D3 +1 for them. I think that's better because you've got the ability to do mortal wounds when you charge anyway, because you're a monster. So you're doing mortal wounds on a 4+. Yes, it's not D6, but I think it's better the way that it is. Stone Skeleton, however, rather than halving the damage, you just ignore damage on a 5+. It's better for 1 damage weapons. It's worse for 2 damage weapons. It's better for 3 damage. It's the same for 3 damage weapons because you would half it to 2, whereas on a 3 damage weapon you've got, you're probably going to negate 1 of them, but it's not guaranteed. He also lost the ability to run and charge. I think they're still too expensive now. They're not bad. I mean, don't get me wrong, with some of the buffs, if you build around stone horns, you can make them pretty good. You can get up to 5 damage on the horns, and you can get that up to 2+ D3 on the crushing hooves. And I think you could get +1 to hit or wound, I think we mentioned earlier. So it's not bad. It's not bad. It's just not, I don't feel it's as good as what it was. The Frost Lord on Thunder Tusk. Thunder Tusks in general change, so I won't go over the Frost Lord. Frost Weathered Ice. You now pick a unit a unit within 18 and roll a number of dice equal to the damage table. So 12, 10, 8, 6, 4. And on the roll of a 6, you do a mortal wound. If the unit is 10 or more models, you do it on a 5+, and if it's 20 or more, you do it on a +2, so on a 4+. Now, it's not as good as what it was before, but I think for the purposes of the game, this is better. So realistically, yeah, Sniping Heroes was really cool doing 6 mortal wounds on a 2+. Let's face it, guys, it was cheesy. It was. And I think for the purposes of the game, this works out better because it's about grabbing objectives. Bigger units equals more mortal wounds. I don't think there is as much an auto-include as what they used to be, but there we go. So that is what's changed on that. Numbing Chill is still -1, and the Frost Lord himself still has a bellowing voice. So the Huskard on Stonehorn. Blood Vulture now, you just pick an enemy unit, and on 2+ you do 1 mortal wound. On a 1, nothing happens. There is a 1 in 6 chance of you not doing any damage, but there's an 86% chance of doing a mortal wound to the unit that you want. I think that's better. Linebreaker is very, very different. You can use this command ability at the start of your combat phase. If you do so, pick 1 friendly Mournfang pack unit that made a charge move in the same turn and is wholly within 12. Well, Mournfangs have got massive bases, so that is hard to situate. If you use the unit's Mournfang charge ability in that phase, add 2 to the damage inflicted by the attacks of the Tusks instead of 1. It's nowhere near as good as what it used to be, guys. Huskard on Thunder Tusk, though, again, Numb and Chill, Frost Weathered Ice, covered with the whole Thunder Tusk abilities. Blizzard Speaker, though. In your hero phrase, your model can chant one of the following prayers. If you do so, pick one of the prayers and make a prayer roll by rolling a dice. Add 1 to the roll for each friendly Thunder Tusk within 18 of this model. On a 1 to 3, the prayer is not answered, and on a 4+, the prayer is answered. So you can go Winter's Endurance, heal D3, cool. Or Winter's Strength, pick a friendly Beastclaw Raider unit wholly within 18. Until the start of your next hero phase, add 1 to wound rolls for attacks made with melee weapons by that unit. That's massive. So you put that on another Stonehorn, and you're basically getting +2 to wound and 5 damage. So if you run Beastclaw Raiders specifically, you still can do it quite well. Stonehorn Beast Riders and Thunder Tusk Beast Riders. I'm not going to go over it, guys. Thunder Tusks and Stonehorns I've just covered. You have to take the Harpoon Launcher, but then you take the Chain Trap or the Blood Vulture. Then we've got Icebrow Hunter. His Icy Breath ability. Instead of attacking with its missile weapons, you can use that, and on a 4+, the unit within 6 suffers D3 mortal wounds. It's okay. You can set them up and jump them up 9 inches away and set up a friendly unit of Frost Sabers. Instead of setting the unit up on the battlefield, you can say to join an ambush, and basically you can bring them up. The cats have to be wholly within 12 and more than 9 inches away from enemies. The Mighty Throw does d6 damage if you ran, and has a range of 18 instead of 12. And the command ability, pick a friendly Frost Saber unit wholly within 12 and add 1 to the attacks. It's okay. 3 attacks, 4s, 3s, -1 damage. Master's Voice, add 3 to the charge rolls if this unit is wholly within 16 of an Alice Sproul Hunter when a charge roll is made, and add 2 to the Bravery if you're within range as well. Yeti's got 3 attacks, 4s, 3s, -1, 2 damage. They're still -1 to hit. They've still got a 6-up save, but a 9-inch move, which obviously you can buff. You can fight if you're 6 inches away, so they've clarified that rule as well. And you can run and still charge if you're within 16 of a friendly Thunder Tusk. So not really much changed. You got the Mournfang pack. Right, Culling Clubs. Hit on 3s. It's only 3 attacks though, not the 2 of it is 3 attacks, not the 2 of Gargan Hackers. I genuinely think Culling Clubs might be the better option now with the fact that they're hitting on 3s. Whereas before there were 4s and 4s. I don't know, I've got a lot of Gargan Hackers, I'm tempted to just leave them and see what happens. You can only have 1 in 4 be the Hornblower. Only 1 in 4 can be the Banner Bearer, rather than having a unit of 2 with a Hornblower, Banner Bearer. You have to take a unit of 4 to get them. However, the Horn does not do what it did. You don't roll 3d6 and discard the lowest. You add 1 to the charge rolls. Is it better? Yes, because you're guaranteed a charge then. If you're 3 inches away. But it's not as good for longer distance. And the Mournfang charge doesn't do mortal wounds on the charge anymore. It's add 1 to the damage inflicted by the tusks if you made a charge. It's not bad, it's 4 attacks, 4s, 3s, -1 and 1 becomes 2 damage. That's not too bad actually, I think I prefer that. And the Iron Fist is unmodified 6s now as well. The Firebelly, not much has changed from him from what I can see. And the Man-Eaters are basically all 1 unit now. And essentially a bit like the Tyrant, you give them a big name. However, they are either equipped. Each is armed with pistols and throwing stars, slices and bashes, and a gulping bite. So actually you get all of them. So that's not too bad at all. After armies have been set up, but before the first battle round, pick 1 ability. So you can reroll hit rolls of a 1 for attacks made with melee weapons. That's okay, because they've got 4 attacks each. Crack shots, you can reroll hit rolls of a 1 made with missile weapons. This unit can run and charge later in the same turn. That's actually pretty decent, considering they would move 6, they'd move 8, plus whatever you run, and do not take battle shocks. You probably won't need it anyway, because if you're in combat you've got +2 bravery, makes your bravery 9. But I do like that they've done that. So that is all of the war scrolls. Now we do have a handful of battalions. So most of the Beastclaw Raider battalions didn't change that much. Yorbad, start the first battle round, you can move d6 inches, roll separately for each unit. The Earlbad, if your unmodified hit roll is a 6, you do 1 mortal wound in addition. Torbad, at the start of your hero phase, roll 1 dice for each enemy unit within 3, and on a 2+ they do 1 mortal wound. And the Scarl, add 1 to charge rolls for units from this battalion, so you're getting +4 for your cats, which is decent. And the All-Thrusting is obviously everything all in one. The War Scroll battalions for the Gutbusters, however, the Gormand is a Slaughtermaster, a unit of Lead Belchers, a unit of Gluttons, a unit of Iron Guts, and you can use the pot twice. The Tyrant's Gut Guard is 1 Tyrant, 1 unit of Iron Guts, and 0 to 2 Iron Blasters. Roll a dice each time you allocate a wound or mortal wound to a friendly Tyrant whilst it is within 3 of the Iron Guts, and on the 4+, the Iron Guts take a mortal wound instead. It's okay. Butcher's Band, a Butcher, 1 unit of Lead Belchers, 1 unit of Gorgers, and a unit of, Gluttons, and 1 unit of Iron Guts. At the start of your hero phase, you can heal 1 wound allocated to each friendly unit from this battalion that is wholly within 12 of the Butcher. great, but your butcher's got to move forward and you want him back to stay with the cauldron. And the junk mob, 1 to 3 units of nobblers and 1 to 2 units of scrap launchers. Add 1 to the attack characteristics of piles of old scrap used by the scrap launchers from this battalion, whilst they're within 3 of any nobbler unit that has 20 or more models. That's okay, it's okay. So, all in all, guys, I absolutely love this book. I think I try to show off a little bit of each in the battle report. I'm going to go back to the drawing board and build a Beast Claw Raider list, and I'm going to build an Ogre, a Gutbuster list, and see what we can actually do to some of the other armies. So, thank you very much for watching, guys, and we'll see you again soon.